Hello everyone, are all these hybrid elastics on the market the same? We're going to find out today. I've bought me a brand new packet of Preston Duraslip, I've bought me a brand new packet of Drennan's Power Pull, and I've bought me a brand new packet of Matrix Slick Elastic. I've bought the 2mm. I've bought the 2mm elastics, here they are. One thing's for sure, they're not the same colour, but are they the same product? So, they're the three elastics we want to test. Now, I've been racking my brains, how can I test them simply and effectively so that you guys can see what's going on? And what I came up with was this idea with the tape measure. I thought if we tie two pieces of elastic together, put the knot in the middle on this 30 centimetres and pull, if they're the same elastic, they'll move to the same point all the way through the range of them stretch. They should be the same. Okay? And I wanted to prove that to myself even though I knew it was true. So what I did was I got some pieces of elastic, 3 pieces here. Got some pieces of elastic, tied them together. They're all different. We've got like a heavy duty sort of hydro elastic there, purple hydro. We've got some really light matrix slick elastic. And then I've got some more, I'm not sure what brand this is, but it's another hollow and it's sort of a medium hollow. And then what I did was I put the knot in the middle, so I've got a knot between the light hybrid and the medium hollow. I put the knot on the 30 and I tried to grab the elastic on the 33 there and the 27 there. So I've got approximately, if I hold them like that, let's do that again. So put that on the 30, pinch it there, keep that on the 30 and tight and put the 20 and put the 27 in there. So I should have 3 centimetres of elastic in each hand. If I now keep the knot on the 30 and stretch, as I stretch, it's very clear already that the left hand, my left hand is much further away from the 30. So I've stopped where my right hand is 10 centimetres away, but my left hand is 16 centimetres away. So there's, an extra 60% of stretch in this. That doesn't mean it's a stretchy elastic. It might well be a stretchy elastic. But what it's telling me is when I pull with the same amount of force, I'm getting more stretch. So it's a softer elastic. So take it to the extreme. I've got a strong elastic, really strong elastic. And then a weak elastic and do the same thing again. I put it in the middle, 3 centimetres each, stretched. And you can see now that the right hand, if I just move it back to 30, my right hand is now at 45. So it's like 12 centimetres away from where it was. It started at 33, it's now at 45. And my left hand is 1 centimetre away from where it started. So 1 centimetre of stretch to 12 centimetres of stretch. So you can see it works. Definitely a good test of whether 2 pieces of elastic are acting the same or differently. And to really hammer it home, just for those that are still sceptical, here I've got the same light elastic hybrid, tied it and knot in the mid, cut it, tied it back together in the middle. And I'm going to do the same again, where I put the knot in the middle on the 30, grab it on the 33, come along, grab it on the 27, stretch it. I'm going to stretch it till we get to sort of like 15 there, 15 there, and you can see it's in the middle. Okay, and I haven't let it, I did let it slip a little bit in my left hand then actually, but I haven't really let it slip. It's the same. Alright, so that's all the evidence we need to see what I'm saying. If 2 pieces of elastic are the same, when we tie them together and stretch them, like that where there's no resistance, they will stretch the same amount. Here we are then. Literally, I've just tied these off camera. I have not tested this before. As I'm doing this with you, I'll be learning about what's happening. I've tied the Preston white one to the Drennan blue one. And then we put the knot in the middle. Trying to be as accurate as I can. And I'm grabbing it. Just going to move my head so I'm directly above it at the 33. And I'm grabbing that at the 27. There we are. Now I'm going to move my right hand out here to 40. And if I move my left hand out here to 20. And it would appear at this moment in time that the Preston 2mm elastic is ever so slightly stretchier, sorry, ever so slightly stronger than the Drennan 2mm. I'm going to go back and make sure nothing's moved. Redo it again. There we are. I'm going to pull this one out to the 40 and pull this one out to the 20. And again, Drennan, the Preston isn't a stretch. It's not that it's not a stretch. We haven't proved that yet. What we've proved is that the Preston is stronger, as in it pulls back harder. So let's go a bit further and go 10 there and 10 there. It's moved a little bit more left of centre again, which is what I would expect. So that little experiment there, to my mind, has shown that the Preston elastic is in fact different to the Drennan elastic, even though they're both the same diameter. Not what I expected. I genuinely believe that these will be the same. That is a shock to me. Back again, left one, Preston the white, yellow one on the right here, Matrix Slick, both 2mm, both tied together in the middle. There we are. Let's go. I'm going to stretch this one out to 40. I'm going to stretch this one out to 20. And at the moment, that experiment shows that the Matrix one is ever so slightly stronger. Not stronger, wrong words, because the strength, not for test here. We're looking at the resistance to stretch. So it's a more powerful, just different grade, if you like. Oh, it's just all slipped there, so I'm just going to reset. We'll do it again because also it could be an error. So out to 40 and out to 20, and again it's 1 centimetre to the right, so it's making me think, you know, that was pretty consistent. Got the same results twice. So I'm going to try and squeeze out to 50. These elastics are quite powerful at this. And again, it's just off slightly. It did slip a little bit there. But when I'm getting out to the 50s, I'm getting to the limit of these elastics. What you got to remember is they're 3 centimetres long, and now we're trying to take them to 20 centimetres long, and they only stretch about 6 or 7 times their own length. So we're getting to the limit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the experiment, but I'm just going to go to 15. It's getting too hard for me to do that, and then it starts to slip in my fingers. I can feel it slipping in my fingers, and then it's not fair. It's not correct. So go out to 15 from there. Go out to 15 from there, and yeah, the Matrix one, I would say, is a slightly higher grade than the Preston one. Do it again. I'm going to swap hands and just make sure there's not an issue with how I'm doing it. With 15 and 15. And there you go, you see it's moved. So it's moved the other side and it's followed the elastic. So that's, to me, that's enough evidence to say that the Matrix one is slightly higher grade. I don't mean it's higher specification or it's a better elastic. What I'm saying is it's stronger, so they're not equal. So out to the 10 there, out to the 10 there. The Matrix one's definitely on the stronger side again. Out to the 15, out to the 15, and the Matrix one's on the... So the Matrix one appears to have more backbone. Right, I've set my calipers to 2. That's interesting now. You see, if we take that 2mm and push it into the gap there, it's quite tight fit. If we get the Drennan one, it'll fall through. And if we get the Preston one, it sort of sits there, but a little shake and it goes through. If you put the matrix one on, it's not coming out of there. You can almost see it stretching as I pull it. See how we get on. I'll just check it's 0 yet. Slide it up till it touches 2.08. Okay. But I'm coming to the conclusion that the matrix one is more of a 2.1 mil than it is a 2. Now these products go up in 0.2 of a mil. So 0.2 of a mil can make a difference to how yeah, 0.2 of a mil makes a difference. So all of these products, the next size up, so the 15 for example in the Preston is 2.2 mil. So 0.1 mil is like half a grade, which kind of explains the difference between the matrix one and the other two, but it doesn't explain the difference between the Preston one and the Drennan one. I want to repeat that experiment again. I've tied it again, slightly different knot this time, so that we know when we look at it, it's a fair amount of elastic coming out the bottom for each. And what I'm also going to do, instead of doing 3 centimetres each side, I'm going to do 5 centimetres each side, which will allow for errors. So if I'm holding it 1 millimetre further away than I should be, than I was before, it's less of an issue because it's a bigger distance. So yeah, so let's try that now. So 5 centimetres, so I could probably go straight out to, whoops, I'm go straight out to the 50 now because I've got a bit more material in my hand. And go straight out to the 10. And it's still showing that the Preston one isn't stretching as much under the same load, so it's a little bit stronger. It's definitely, in this instance, the Preston one is definitely a little bit, it's like it's a slightly higher grade, so you know, one might be 11, one might be in a 12 if you were grading them in the same product range. Do the same again. Put the Drennan one out to 50 first, and then yeah, look, that's it. Now 4 times we've done this now, and each time the Preston one is stretching a little bit less than the Drennan one. Now I'm not saying the Preston is stretchier than the Drennan, because that's not what we're experimenting with. What I'm saying is the Preston 2 mil is a different grade to the Drennan 2 mil. Right, so next day, and I'm sitting here like a little bit still shocked at the results, because I was so adamant that it was going to be straightforward, all the elastics are the same. That's why I set up such a simple experiment, and actually such a simple experiment has demonstrated very, very simply how these elastics aren't the same. Now there'll be some people sitting at home thinking, wow, John, I saw you stretching some elastics and there was a bit of difference between them, you know, little bits of difference. But we had little bits of difference, but we only had little bits of elastic. So I'm trying to give you an idea. I thought I'll try to give the people an idea of how much of a difference we found between these elastics, because it's quite an eye-opener for me. So I'm going to start off, I'm just going to use the figures. I've got some written on a piece of paper here. And if right at the start, if you remember right at the start, we measured Preston versus Drennan. And we got 30 mil of elastic, and then we just stretched it out to 200 mil. So sorry, we got 2 pieces of 30 mil elastic tied together, stretched them out to 200 mil in total. And so what we do with there, just for those that are trying to get their head around why that works, is whenever you stretch elastic or material or anything, if it's all in a line, it all gets the same amount of force. So we're replicating what would happen if, I didn't measure that force, it was just what I needed to get it to a point. But what we're replicating is a fish. You never measure the force that a fish applies when you hook it, but you know that you know, a 3 pound carp on a given day, that particular fish swimming away from you is going to apply a force to your elastic. And at that point, we could pretend, or we can try to estimate and say, right, that is the force that our fish is applying. What would have happened if I had the Drennan elastic in versus what would have happened if I had the Preston elastic in? And that's what we've replicated there. Just that's why I think the simplicity of the experiment is brilliant. Well, what happened is, and as you saw, one elastic stretched slightly more than the other. What difference does it make? Well, it does make a difference. That is why we buy different grades of elastic. That's why I've got 11s and 13s and 15s and even down to 4s and 5s, because in different scenarios I want different amount of stretch based on what fish I'm catching. So how much difference did we get? Well, going back to that Preston and Drennan example again, we tied them together, we've stretched them to 200 mil, and at that point, with that given force that we were just talking about, that set force, the Preston elastic stretched 30 millimeters less than the Drennan one, or the Drennan one stretched 30 millimeters more than the Preston one, whichever way around you want to look at it. What difference does that make? And you're thinking, well, 30 millimeters isn't a lot, but you've got to remember that we started with 30 millimeters of elastic. So when we look at the original length of the elastic, the Preston has stretched a whole original length less than the Drennan, or the Drennan has stretched a whole original length more. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if we were to, if I extrapolate the figures up and say, right, we've got a short kit, 1.5 meter short kit with these two elastics in, and we've got this imaginary scenario where somehow we've managed to hook two fish that are doing exactly the same thing and pulling exactly the same amount of force. The difference in the amount of elastic out over on a little short kit, we're not talking about the 2 meter long, 2.5 meter long ones that most of us use, we're talking about 1.5 meter short kit, there would be 1.5 meters more elastic out of the Drennan top kit than there would be out of the Preston top kit, or the Drennan elasticated and the Preston elasticated top kits, all of the things being equal, obviously. Okay, so that is significant when you consider that if you went to the shop and bought a 2 mil Preston, you would or a Drennan, you'd be thinking now they're about the same, but they're not. If you then extrapolate up and say, right, I'm actually catching on a big top kit 2 meter, 2.5 meter top kits, like a lot of people use when they're carp fishing, and we went back to that scenario where two identical fish are running off at exactly the same force, you were going to have 2.5 meters more Drennan elastic out of your pole than you are Preston. Now, I'm not saying which is better and which is worse, because we all know it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's the scenario that you're using it in. You might want more elastic coming out because you're fishing for smaller fish. You try not to pull hooks. You're taking your time. You've got no snags. You're happy. You might be trying to bag up fishing for slightly bigger fish, in which case you want less elastic coming out. So you're happy if you got the Preston one. I never really set out to decide if one of these elastics was better than the other. And that's not what the discussion's about. What the discussion about is how can they be so different, yet they're the same size. And it's not a big deal, I suppose. Things are different, but it is for the consumer, because you've got to try, what can you do to get around this problem? You can't go around second guessing, is Drennan softer, is Preston softer? All the map stuff has just come out. Is the map stuff, where does the map stuff sit in that range? Where does Daiwa stuff sit in this? Blah blah blah. There's hundreds of them. You can buy the hybrid stuff on that Facebook. It's just a minefield. And so I feel like the takeaway for you guys is stick with one brand. Because if you stick with one brand, you know that if you go from a 2 mil to a 2.2 mil, it's going to be stronger. And if you go down from a 2 mil to a 1.8 mil, it's going to be weaker or softer and harder. Whereas if you were like, all right, I've got a 2 mil Drennan, I've got a 2 mil. Let's say you went one extreme to the other. You say, oh, here's my 2 mil matrix, which was the strongest. I'm going to go and get some 2.2 mil Drennan. You could find that they're almost the same, and you're actually putting the 2.2 on in a scenario where you don't want them to be the same. You want the 2.2 to be stronger. So you can see how that could cause a problem. So I'm going to do some more experiments and try and learn a bit more and give you guys a bit more information, and we'll go from there. So this is the end of this experiment. Watch out for part 2. There might be part 3, part 4, I don't know. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment if there's something that you want me to do, if there's some elastic you want me to try and fit in. I'm going to avoid hollows at the moment because it's just a whole minefield again, because there's lots of different ones. I'm going to stick with the hybrids for the next few videos, that's for sure, because I think they're the future. A lot of people are using hybrids, and you know, they're massive now. I think hybrids will eventually be the main elastic that everybody uses. So let's just go with that. But if there's a brand that you want me to try and get in there, or if there's something else you want me to add, then we will. So stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you soon.